So this is where we're at with the with the results, guys. The US election. We had a chat last week about the debacle that it was. When I was setting up the show, I was frantically looking at the latest information. You know, Riccardo was very patient with me. And we were looking at which states Trump was contesting, which states there was fraud, and which states had gone either way. Right now, you guys are looking at this graph of Donald Trump versus Joe Biden. Now, this is from Google. They haven't updated it. But as it stands, Donald Trump is on about 217 electoral college votes, and Joe Biden is on about 230 electoral college votes. I say about because they can't make up their minds whether they want to call North Carolina and Alaska yet for Trump. And with Joe Biden, they prematurely called a bunch of states as well. Just to run through this very briefly, because there are some phenomenal people that you guys should be following who are way better to listen to on this. Charlie Kirk, he does a 2-hour podcast every day on this. He's excellent. He's at the forefront of this analysis. There are 6 states that Donald Trump is challenging at the moment for various different reasons. Voter fraud, voter irregularities, poll watchers from the Republican side not being allowed to observe these polls. These states include Nevada, Arizona, Wisconsin, Michigan. What's that one? That is an interesting one. GA, that is... Georgia. And then we've got Pennsylvania. I can't believe I forgot Georgia. They've been talking about it all week. Georgia is having a recount. They're having a whole by-hand recount. And Pennsylvania, they've got some... I think they're going to have some... go through a full audit as well, which was just announced this week. That will be very, very interesting. I do want to preface this discussion by saying that, guys, there are multiple ways that Trump can pull this off still. There are multiple ways. If you want to look at Vox, they wrote an article recently about the 3 different ways Trump could actually win this still. So there is a path to victory for Trump. It is a very slim one. It is very slim. And I don't want to get your hopes up because of how slim it is, but I don't want my progressive viewers, and there are a few, believe it or not, to think that there's no way Trump could win and it's a coup. There is a path to victory. Vox is a progressive site, and there is a very good chance that Trump might still win this. One of the ways he can do that is by delaying a lot of these votes in the states by getting them tangled up with these lawsuits. Not a very ethical way, but if these votes that have been cast haven't been done in a legitimate way, then Trump can actually delay this till December 14th, when the electors all meet for the electoral college and they cast their votes. For those of you that don't know, everyone's been watching, you need to reach 270 electoral college votes. Each state gets a certain amount of votes. You know, California, for example, has 55 because there's like 35 million people that live there. And the Electoral College haven't actually allocated these votes yet, even though the media say that Biden's won. He's the projected winner. He is, the projected, commander-in-chief for January 20th, when Inauguration Day happens. But it's actually not. No one's actually received an electoral college vote yet, not until December 14th. So if Donald Trump manages to delay this past December 14th, one of the things that could happen is the electors in these states, a lot of which have been elected as Republicans, a lot of them may actually vote for Donald Trump. And so that's one path. If that were to happen, there would be riots. It's unlikely. Another path is Trump can manage to get, in Pennsylvania, that's a good example. There's 20 electoral college votes. It's quite a lot. It's the most out of the ones that are being contested right now as a swing state. There are some very valid points from the Trump campaign and his lawyers, some of which include 400,000 ballots or more these were mail-in ballots that were cast 3 days after the election actually happened. They actually arrived late, and the Supreme Court sort of has to work out, do we count these or not? And on top of that, I don't want to go into the specifics there, guys. I mean, there's way better people to listen to, like Tim Pool or Charlie Kirk. But in essence, there's not just that. There's not just whether they should be counted, because the Supreme Court's, said that they may or may not be required to be counted. But ballots there were also treated differently. The Republicans weren't allowed to observe these counts, and that is completely against what a judge over there said. So a lot of the poll watchers there weren't allowed in, which is completely against what was commanded by a court. So there is a serious case there, guys. They were checking and they were correcting. They were correcting, Riccardo, some of these ballots that were Democrats, but not ballots that were from Republican precincts. So they've violated the 14th Amendment, which means you need to treat all the votes equally. It's not good, guys, because either way, what happens, I am not looking forward to seeing the result, but it'll be very interesting to see what happens. On top of that, so what could happen is those ballots could be disregarded, or the whole place could be called for a re-election. I don't think we got time. Or the whole of the state's votes get invalidated. So that means that's 20 electoral votes no one's getting.
Right.
So if no one reaches, if this happens to enough states, because Trump's suing 6 of these states, if something like that happens to enough of these states, or a combination of things get delayed, they don't have, Pennsylvania doesn't finish their audit, or Georgia doesn't finish their recount. If enough of these things fall, I think Trump needs at least 3 of these states, and if enough of them get compromised and neither candidate, Joe Biden or Trump, gets to 270, it goes to the electors for each state. They will cast their votes. Each state gets 1 elector, and there are more Republican states than Democrat states. So what might end up happening is Trump wins based on that. There would also be riots. So it's not looking great, guys, for either side. It's a very slim. I mean, if Donald Trump pulled this off in Pennsylvania, it would be a miracle. He has to pull that off in 3 states. So he's going to need some of that Trump luck. Like, of all the times, now is the time. What do you think, Rick?
I think he's going to win.
Okay.
I think he's going to win the court cases, and not just win the court cases. He's going to demonstrate the utter corruption of the entire system. There is no way that a man that barely turned up received more votes in American history than anybody else, because that's the line. Biden had received more votes than anyone in American history, and Trump number 2 at this election.
Trump got 10 million more votes.
It stinks. You don't need. It does. This is complete. This is complete nonsense. It really is. Trump's going to win. He's going to win the court cases. He will be the next president, and the left are ready for this and anticipate violence. And even on Inauguration Day, expect something to happen. Because once again, these people don't play fair. We know that. There are a bunch of Trump voters in the US who believe they've been robbed. And guess what? No riots, no burning cars, no looting. Just allowing the process to reveal the truth. Yeah. Which is the greatest swindle in US history. And the moment that Trump is elected, which he will be, I'm certain of that, as I said, then the left will go crazy. Then the coup d'etat will be attempted, and then there will be violence at the leading up to and potentially even including the inauguration. Yeah. But then it'll settle down, and then we can watch the parade of depraved individuals, the deep state, as Trump lines them up, puts them in orange jumpsuits, and the next 4 years will just be this wonderful spectacle of these people being locked up. And I hope there's some splashback in Oz, because the connections between Australia's deep state and the US's deep state is there, and the Australian people will see that too.
I don't think people understand the gravity of this situation. I mean, Joe Biden is not for Brexit. He is not. It was Barack Obama who said, if you guys vote for Brexit, this is in 2015, if you vote for Brexit, I think it was in 2016 actually he said it, you will go to the back of the line.
That's right.
Those are his words. Now, the problem with that is, if we end up in a situation with that, there are similar things in Australia we're gonna have problems with. We don't want that. We really don't want that. The Senate currently is still technically in the air. It's projected that there'll be a Republican win, but we don't know yet. There are 2 seats we're waiting on. I think they happen to be in Georgia, which is obviously holding it up. Now, isn't it suspicious that on election night, Trump was winning pretty much all of these states? There were 5 of these 6 states on election night, overwhelmingly. I mean, Trump had a 700,000, vote lead in Pennsylvania, for example. Yet all of these swing states said, stop the votes, we need to wait.
And it was only the swing states.
Only the swing states.
The hard red and the hard blue states, they got their counts done in time. But where it was critical for Biden to win all of a sudden, and one included even a water leak, and people were demanding the pictures, show us the water. Of course there were none. And the next day you finished the story.
Well, the next day it's just they were like, oh, we found all of these votes, and they just sort of arrived, and we've got signed affidavits. We've got 234 pages for one state of signed affidavits from people saying, a bunch of different allegations basically, but they've signed affidavits. They're committed to this. All of this will come out in these court hearings that happen, and Donald Trump and his lawyer team, including Rudy Giuliani, who was the former mayor of New York, he actually dismantled the mafia. A lot of people don't know this. They underestimate him. It's going to all come out, and it'll be very entertaining. But there are other irregularities, as Riccardo might say, that we've seen. There are bellwether states, and if you guys don't know what bellwether counties, which are counties that always predict the winner of the election. They're really in tune with who's going to win. There are a bunch of bellwether counties, including in Minnesota, that didn't vote for Biden. They voted for Trump. There are a ton of irregularities which just don't make any sense, Riccardo. Donald Trump got, at this stage, as of counting now, he got 10 million votes more than his 2016 race. How did Joe Biden didn't even go out of the house? He was in the basement. It was a running joke. The guy's in the basement.
And you know what's funny? I was listening to some commentators. I won't mention their names because it's embarrassing. But they still think it's about, well, the people turned against Trump because they didn't like the tweets and he's a bit rough. Oh, please, give me a break.
Far out.
Nobody cares about that. Nobody cares. They honestly don't.
Yeah, they care about, rioting and looting in the street. The people that did affect before this year, it was it was stay-at-home mums who were, college educated.
Yeah.
Then the riots happened, and we saw a massive poll boost for the Donald. Why was that? Nothing moved it, but that was the thing.
And Victor Davis Hanson, emeritus professor of classical history and current day commentator on events, he actually said, in California, the bluest of blue states, you can't buy a gun. You know why? For 9 months, because of the waiting list. Because the blue states all of a sudden realised, my goodness me, I love my Second Amendment all of a sudden, because these lunatics are going to destroy us. No, so this is just a con, it's a swindle, it's a lie, it'll come out. It really will.
I can't wait. I am praying for America, and honestly, I'm not even kidding, guys. This isn't a throwaway. I'm using your lines, damn it, Riccardo. What are you doing to me? Far out. Sorry, it kills me. Someone said it to me this week. They said, you're starting to sound like Riccardo. I'm like, crap, really? We don't need 2 of them. We just need one.
No, one's enough. A little goes a long way.
Yeah. We need a Joel. We need a Joel Jammal. That's what we need. Someone said to me that this week, and I was like, what the hell? But with these states, I've lost my train of thought. With these states, you need to be very careful to put your stocks in. I mean, we've got a confirmation bias, I don't want people to get their hopes up and then Donald Trump loses. If the Republicans hold the Senate, we are looking at a very different presidency from Joe Biden than if Joe Biden has the Senate, the House, and he gets the presidency. Very different presidency. So it'll be interesting to see how things go. But watch this space, guys. Honestly, every night I am praying for the American people. Every night. They are doing a massive protests this Saturday, which is Sunday for us. And it'll be very interesting to see how big that is. But the American people have been holding rallies all over these states, including Arizona, all of these swing states in Georgia, saying we want a fair and free election.
Are these blue protests or red protests?
Red protests.
Okay.
Yeah, the blue protests, they've all gone home. They're all, you know...
What, the money run out did it?
No, they think they've won. It's hubris, Riccardo. It's hubris. It's what we saw in 2016.
Well, get those barrels ready for the Liberal tears. Nothing sweeter.
That's it. Oh, maybe I should do what Ben Shapiro does. He gets his little cup for catching Liberal tears.
That's it.
Watch this space, guys. It'll be very interesting to see how this turns out. If he pulls this off, it'll be a bloody miracle. And on top of that, funny fact, because some of these cases are going to go to the Supreme Court, because obviously if Trump wins them, or if Trump wins or loses them, either way, they're going to escalate it to the Supreme Court. That's what it's come to. These are high stakes. So where do things stand right now? Well, ever since they confirmed Amy Coney Barrett, who is pretty much a conservative Republican, she's an originalist, and we've talked about her excellent record. She was confirmed in these last few months. Excellent lady, brilliant lady. You know, I can't believe the feminists didn't celebrate her. You know, she completely blasted all of the rules that you can't have 7 kids and be a careerist. She completely blows that out of the water. So she's a phenomenal lady. She got confirmed. And now we've got 5 solid conservative originalists on the court. And then we've got a 6th one who is, you know, he likes to be conservative every now and then. I don't even remember his name, that's why. And then you've got 3 progressives on the court. So the situation we find ourselves in right now is this may be escalated to the Supreme Court. It probably will. I'd put a bet on it. I'd probably put a few hundred on that. It's definitely going to happen. It's just about when. 3 of these Supreme Court justices had a part to play in the legal teams for the Bush v. Gore case. Isn't that fascinating? And 2 of them, you're going to love this, were confirmed by Donald Trump. He nominated them.
The hand of God.
Brett Kavanaugh and Amy Coney Barrett. Isn't that hilarious? And on top of that, guys, you're going to love this. I mean, how many of us have seen these memes? And maybe I'll chuck it up here. How many of us have seen the memes of the projected vice president elect, Kamala Harris, lambasting Brett Kavanaugh, saying, you are a rapist, you are a this, you are a that, you used to run trains on women and drug them and this and that at parties in college 35 years ago. Here are the images, guys. You can see her lambasting him.
This is the same Kamala Harris who received not one vote endorsing her as a candidate.
Not one delegate
Not one vote.
Not one.
And we know what the game is. Get Biden in.
Yep.
Biden's sick, dies, retires, suicides himself, who knows. And Kamala Harris is now the president.
Oh, no.
Just another marionette.
Guys, can I just say, I want, if Joe Biden wins, I do want him to see his full term out. I don't want to see the guy die. I'll put it that way. He is not as radical as Kamala. Kamala is more progressive than Bernie Sanders. And I'm not even kidding. I'm not kidding. If you look at her 2019 voting record in Congress, it's actually, she voted more times than Bernie on progressive legislation. I didn't believe it. And then I looked it up. But she was polling at 9% in her home state of California during the primaries. Not a delegate vote, not one.
No.
And then on top of that, we've got Joe Biden. If you go back a few years ago, we've got Clarence Thomas, who he's the chief of the Supreme Court. He is the head of it because he's the head conservative there. He's the black conservative on the justice. He's the black conservative justice on the court, and he was also lambasted. In fact, he called it a high-tech lynching from Joe Biden when they were throwing all these allegations at him as well.
And you remember the confirmation hearing with him? At one point, he just pushed back and said, "That's it. Confirm me, don't confirm me. I don't care. No job's worth this. So just do it." He just had enough, and yet he's there, which is great.
Well, it was before I was born, so I can't remember, but I will show you guys the images of it. It is quite breathtaking. So if you think that I'd like to think that these originalists are very professional, but I do think they may, if it comes down to a coin toss, they will err on the side of the Donald, just out of spite.
Oh, no, they won't. They wouldn't do it. Their record Amy Coney Barrett, a lot of them, their record is pristine. They go according to the law, regardless of what personal feelings they have, and that's why they're good justices.
It'd be interesting to see how that goes. So that's the update, guys. That's what's happening. That'll most likely change a week from now. I mean, as I said, it's Friday the 13th. Anything can happen today, and Americans are just about to wake up in a few hours. So we'll see what happens. What the Donald's got in store for them. But even if Trump wins or loses, the fight still goes on. It changes nothing, you know. And Riccardo said this a number of times. We can't wait for Trump. Trump won't save Australia. We've got to save ourselves. And it goes for A1 as well. Riccardo will not descend from a cloud and save Australia. He needs good men and women, which we've been seeing, to come, to rise up, to build themselves up, whether you use this book or not, to rise up and build yourself up as a competent individual. We couldn't care. I just think that it does a great job. It helped me. So if you sort of build yourself up and you put your hand up to be a candidate and you let us know it's a winnable area, we can make it happen. Why not? You know, don't put yourself in a box. That's for sure. So this is where we're at with with the results, guys. Just a high level understanding of what's going on. But we'll move on. Don't get disillusioned, but watch this space. I'll give you an update next week. So